Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to speak to the part of you that's tired. Tired of overthinking, tired of wondering why someone who once meant everything now acts like you never existed. This isn't just about a breakup. It's about reclaiming your power, your self-worth, and your peace. Because while he may pretend he doesn't care, there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. And when you stop chasing and start healing, that silence will say more than any words ever could. This is about rising, not for him to notice, but for you to finally see your own value again. You know, it's fascinating how someone can go from constantly texting you, calling you, making plans with you, to acting like you don't even exist. And when that happens, it's incredibly confusing because your mind goes, wait, did none of that matter? Did he just stop caring overnight? And the truth is, no, he didn't. He didn't just stop caring, but what he's doing now is pretending. He's pretending he doesn't care. Why? Because it gives him power. Because acting like he's unaffected lets him keep his pride. And that pride, for a lot of men, is more important than telling the truth about how they actually feel. He'll act indifferent not because he's moved on, but because he doesn't want you to see that he's hurting too. And make no mistake, if there was a real connection, if you were emotionally invested and he was too, he is hurting. But he's going to protect that pain like it's a secret. He'll post like everything's fine. He'll act like he's thriving. He'll hang out with people, maybe even someone new, just to make sure you see that he's unbothered. But it's a show, and the more he performs, the more it reveals just how much he actually cares. See, when someone truly doesn't care, they're quiet. They're at peace, they're not trying to prove anything, but when he's out there curating this image of detachment, it's because he knows you're watching, or he hopes you are. That little voice inside his head is wondering, does she still think about me? Does she regret it? Is she missing me yet? And he's hoping the mask of indifference will make you break, make you reach out, make you chase. Because that would reaffirm to him that he still has value in your world. But here's the thing, he doesn't get to take up that space anymore. He doesn't get to play this role where you're the one left questioning everything while he gets to pretend he's perfectly fine. Because the minute you stop responding to the act, the minute you stop reading into his every move or looking for signs that he secretly cares, that's when the power dynamic changes. That's when he starts to feel the void he thought he could handle. It's not about playing games or trying to win. It's about recognizing that someone pretending they don't care is still investing a hell of a lot of energy into you. Indifference isn't loud. Indifference doesn't perform. If he really didn't care, he wouldn't be trying so hard to show you that he doesn't. And the moment he realizes you're no longer reacting to the performance, that you're not on the other end still craving his attention or his validation, that's when it will start to drive him insane. We often think that if we just explain ourselves better, send one more message, get some sort of closure, or stay in their orbit just a little longer, they'll finally realize what they lost. We think our presence is what's going to make them wake up, but it's not. It's your absence that speaks volumes. It's when you stop showing up, when you stop being available, when you stop playing the role they got used to you playing. That's when everything starts to shift. There's something unbelievably powerful about the moment you decide you're no longer going to feed the connection. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, because you know you deserve better than breadcrumbs. You deserve better than being someone's emotional safety net while they figure out what they want. When you pull back, when you stop answering the late night texts, when you stop checking their social media, and most importantly, when you stop needing a reaction from them, that's when you become unforgettable. You see the routine you once had with him, the way you were always there, always responsive, always forgiving. It gave him comfort. It made him feel like he could disappear for a while and come back whenever he wanted, and you'd still be there. That predictability, he got used to it, and when something becomes predictable, it starts getting taken for granted. But when you remove yourself from the equation, when that energy vanishes, it disrupts his entire reality. Suddenly, there's no one reacting to his stories, no one replying to his vague "hope you're good" messages, no one holding space for him when he wants attention but not commitment. And that void, it echoes. It gets louder the more he pretends it doesn't matter. And here's what really messes with him. It's not just that you're gone. It's that you chose to be. That you had every reason to stay, every reason to keep trying, and instead you chose your peace over his confusion. That's not something he can just shake off. The moment you go quiet is the moment he has to sit with the choices he made, with the things he said, with the way he treated someone who would have gone to the ends of the earth for him. And while you're over there healing, rebuilding, becoming stronger, he's stuck replaying the moments he thought he'd always get a second chance at. He can pretend all he wants. He can act like you leaving didn't affect him. But the absence of someone who genuinely loved him, someone who showed up when it mattered, that kind of absence doesn't just go unnoticed. It lingers, it haunts, it forces a person to finally feel what they've been avoiding all along, and that's when your silence becomes the loudest thing he hears. One of the most painful parts of a breakup is not just losing the other person. It's losing the version of yourself you were when you were with them. Especially when you gave everything, when you showed up wholeheartedly, when you compromised, sacrificed, and adjusted just to make it work. And then it ends, and you're left asking, was I not enough? That question haunts people. It keeps them stuck. But the truth is, the pain isn't really about him. It's about what you started believing about yourself in the process. You see, when someone pulls away, treats you like you're disposable, or acts like they don't care, it's easy to internalize that and turn it into a story about your worth. But that's not the reality. Someone else's inability to value you doesn't define your value. It reflects their limitations, not your lack. Real power comes when you stop tying your worth to their opinion of you. Because when you're chasing someone who isn't choosing you, you are outsourcing your self-worth. You're handing it over to someone who's shown you, through their actions, that they don't know how to handle it. And if they don't see your value, that doesn't mean you need to scream louder, try harder, or prove more. It means you need to step back and ask yourself why their recognition ever meant more than your own. The moment you shift from asking, why didn't he fight for me, to why was I fighting so hard for someone who couldn't meet me where I was, that's when you reclaim your power. That's when everything begins to change, because now it's not about him waking up or regretting it or coming back. It's about you remembering who you were before you started bending into someone else's idea of lovable. When you start building yourself back from the inside out, when you invest in your growth, protect your peace, and surround yourself with people who see you clearly, that energy is magnetic. It radiates, and ironically, that's often when he starts to notice, when you no longer need him to notice. That's when it gets to him, because now he's not just watching someone he used to date, he's watching someone who's no longer available to him emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. And there is nothing more painful than seeing someone you took for granted now thriving without you. But that's not the goal. The goal isn't to be okay so that he regrets it. The goal is to be okay because you know you deserve to be. Because you've stopped trying to earn love through suffering. Because you've realized your worth was never up for debate in the first place. And that moment, the one where you stop chasing him and start choosing yourself, that's the moment you become untouchable. There's a moment that happens after a breakup, and it usually doesn't come right away. At first, he might feel relieved. He might enjoy the freedom, the space, the ego boost of thinking you still want him while he's pulling away. And for a while, he'll tell himself he made the right decision, or at the very least, that he's okay with how things ended. But that moment, that trigger the one that flips everything, it comes when he realizes you've stopped needing him. When he sees that you're actually doing well without him. It might be something small, a photo of you smiling with friends, a subtle shift in your energy, maybe a conversation where you seem lighter, freer. It might not even be something you intended to show. But he'll notice, and it'll hit him in a place he didn't expect. Because suddenly, the woman who was once emotionally available to him, the one who used to respond instantly, who used to hope for change, who once fought to keep the connection alive, is now different. You're not angry. You're not begging. You're not posting cryptic messages trying to get his attention. You're just moving forward, and that's the scariest thing for someone who thought you'd always be within reach. He expected a reaction. He expected a chase. What he didn't expect was silence and strength. And when he sees that you've stopped orbiting around him, that you've stopped seeking answers or closure, it forces him to confront something he's been avoiding. The reality that he lost something real, that trigger. It's not just about jealousy or pride, it's deeper than that. It's the unsettling realization that someone he thought he could come back to is no longer waiting. That the person who once made him feel important has turned that love inward. That kind of realization doesn't just sting, it unsettles. Because it makes him question not only what he lost, but why he didn't see it when he had it. And it's not because you played games. It's not because you tried to make him jealous or prove a point. It's because you chose to heal. You chose to grow. You started investing that same energy, the energy you used to pour into him, into yourself. And that's the most powerful trigger of all. Not a dramatic goodbye, not a screaming match, just quiet growth, just peace. Because peace is confusing to someone who only knew your chaos when you were hurting. It doesn't matter if he pretends not to notice. He'll feel it. Deep down, he'll feel the shift. He'll feel the loss. And what drives him crazy isn't that you're gone. It's that you're better without him. That's when it finally hits. You don't always need a big speech. You don't need the perfectly worded text or the dramatic closure conversation where you finally say everything you've been holding in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all, because silence, real silence, not passive, aggressive, quiet treatment, but calm, intentional silence, that speaks volumes. It says what words often fail to. I'm done chasing. I'm done explaining. I'm done giving energy to someone who isn't giving it back. And here's what people don't expect. especially someone who's used to having access to you. They don't expect silence, they expect you to argue, they expect a reaction, they expect to still have power over your emotional world. And when they don't get it, when they reach out and you don't respond the way you used to, it unsettles them. That silence becomes deafening because it's no longer about what you say. It's about what you're no longer willing to say. There's a certain strength in being able to sit with that silence and not feel the urge to break it. It takes growth because we all want to be heard. We want the other person to understand what they did, to feel some level of accountability. But the truth is, someone who didn't value your words when they had them won't suddenly value them now just because you say more. That's why the silence is so powerful. It's not empty. It's full of everything you could say, but choose not to. And that's what drives him crazy, not the loud moments, not the emotional pleas. It's the stillness. It's realizing that you're not trying to win him back, not trying to get him to feel guilty, not trying to prove your worth anymore. It's realizing that you've reclaimed your energy and you're using it to rebuild your life, not to repair something that was breaking you. That silence is a mirror. It forces him to look at himself without the distraction of your voice trying to carry the connection. And in that mirror, he sees it clearly, what he had, how he lost it, and the fact that you're not waiting around for him to catch up. You see, people think communication is always the key to fixing things, and often it is, but there comes a point where silence becomes the final, undeniable truth. Not out of bitterness, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. Because you've realized your peace is worth more than being understood by someone who never tried to understand you in the first place. And when you go quiet, not out of spite, but because you've outgrown the noise, that's when he hears you the loudest. When we go through a breakup, especially one that leaves us confused or hurt, our mind often fixates on one thing, getting them back. We think, if I can just make them see what they lost, if I can just become the person they always wanted, maybe then they'll come back. And we convince ourselves that healing is about showing them they made a mistake, but real healing doesn't happen when you focus on getting them back. Real healing begins the moment you decide to get yourself back. Because somewhere along the way, in trying to keep them happy, trying to be enough, trying to be chosen, you started losing pieces of yourself. You ignored your needs, you downplayed your feelings, you accepted less than you deserved because you were afraid of losing the connection. And now that it's gone, it hurts, yes, but it also gives you a chance to come back to you. This is where your power lies, not in proving your worth to someone else, but in remembering it for yourself. The goal isn't to become so perfect that they regret losing you. The goal is to become so grounded in who you are that their absence doesn't shake your sense of identity. Because chasing someone to feel whole will only ever leave you feeling empty. You start to realize this when the noise dies down. When you're not refreshing their page anymore, when you're not rereading old messages, when you stop replaying the breakup in your mind like a movie on loop. When instead you're focused on your own growth, when you're investing in things that light you up. When you're surrounding yourself with people who see you, respect you, value you, that shift, that quiet, subtle shift, is what changes everything. Because you're no longer moving from a place of desperation, you're moving from a place of clarity. You're no longer hoping they'll come back to fill a void. You're filling that space with purpose, with self-respect, with love that doesn't depend on someone else choosing you. And the irony is, it's usually in that space, in that energy, that they feel your absence the most. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally became yourself again. And if they come back, it won't matter because you're no longer waiting. You're no longer living in reaction to someone else's decisions. You're making your own. You're living your life forward, not looking backward. And the beauty of that is, whether they realize what they lost or not, you've already gained something far more important. You've found your way back to you.